we welcome you, as I said, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Well, thank you
Thank
very
you, Norm.
much. Thank you very much for inviting me, Diane. I come to these uh, whenever I can. I try and get here most months. Um, this is a picture of Patrick, if you can all see
Can
it.
you hold it a little higher, Norm? We can't see.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, great.
Yes. This was his high school picture at Bergen Catholic. Thank you all for being here. As Diane said, I'm Norm Nilsen. My wife Marion and I, we live in northern New Jersey, near the New York border, and attend St. Therese Church in Cresskill, where we got married. It's a Carmelite parish, not a diocesan parish.
Excuse me, Norm. Excuse me, Norm. Could you turn your video on? I mistakenly turned it off. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem,
Sorry.
no problem. Oops. Hmm.
Down at the bottom.
Oh, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it said it was disabled by you. Oh, it says it's still disabled. Still,
There
okay,
we
here we
go.
go. There we go.
I
Okay.
apologize.
No, no problem. No problem. Marion and I met at Villanova University and are both lifelong practicing Catholics, as Diane said. Um, Marianne attended Catholic grammar and high school, and I went to all public schools until we got to Villanova. Um, we've been married 46 years and have three children, two alive and one who passed away. Patrick passed away. It'll be, March 24th next week. Just short of his 21st birthday. He passed away in March, and um, his birthday is May 31st. Um, our son Dan is 37 and just had our first grandchild. And Kelly is 34 and she got married last year. Marion and I often say, um, without our faith and support from other Catholic couples, other friends, and other organizations, we don't know where we would be today. Also, blessed to have my college roommate Jim, who lives on Long Island. We met on day one of college, and ironically, we lived in the same town growing up, but we went to different high schools. And he was a year ahead of me, and we met um, day one of college and became lifelong friends. And we both support each other pretty well in our faith. We go to retreats together, and we're just always connected. And he's been a great help throughout my life and throughout uh, our challenges with Patrick. So Patrick was born May 31st of 85, and if you everybody can hear me okay, loud enough, I assume.
Yes,
Okay.
perfect.
Uh, and as soon as he was born, which was pretty much right on the due date, um, the we all knew, and the doctor knew that there was something very wrong, and asked for a pediatrician right away. And it so happened our pediatrician lived about 10 minutes away, so she arrived. Um, it was obvious that he had an abnormal abdomen. Our pediatrician immediately diagnosed him with prune belly syndrome, otherwise known as Eagle-Barrett syndrome, which nobody had ever heard of in the room except for her. Um, it's a rare congenital disorder characterized by underdeveloped or no abdominal muscles, and so he looked like he was pregnant when he was born. Um, and then various urinary and urological tract malfunctions, undescended testicles, uh, and varying kidney problems. He had all of these abnormalities and only one functioning kidney. He was immediately transferred from New Jersey, our Holy Name Hospital, into immediate within a couple of hours to New York Hospital Cornell Medical Center in New York City, and um, uh, several days after transfer, after the doctors doing tests, etc., he had his first of many surgeries. Um, He stayed in New York Hospital, Cornell Medical Center for 3 weeks, um, and in the NICU. Um, so God blessed us with a beautiful baby, and we were very happy parents, but we were a little concerned about the future. But we trusted and knew that, with the support of God and our faith and our friends and family, that we would make it through. In fact, when we first heard he was going to need to be transferred and they said Cornell, um, I was right away thinking Cornell, upstate New York, and right away going into the mode of how are we going to do this? But then they said, no, 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 it's Cornell in New York City, and we said, oh, okay, we can. We can handle that lot more, a lot better. Marianne is a nurse practitioner, and her knowledge and skills were critical throughout Patrick's life. During the next 3 years, he had many surgeries, and some of this, I would, all of this background, I felt like I needed to go through to really paint the whole picture. During the next 3 years, he had many surgeries to reconstruct his urinary and urological tract. He was seen regularly by a number of specialists. He received physical therapy, and he took prescription meds of various kinds from birth to manage his condition. We had great support from our parish, family, friends. He had a wonderful smile and disposition, and he brought us so much joy and laughter. Daniel was born 3 years later, and Patrick became his big brother and loved taking care of him. And I still have the picture of when we took Daniel home, and Patrick came running out and was right away giving us uh, direction as to how to handle his new big brother, his little brother. He joined the Cub Scouts and played soccer and the trumpet. He began wearing an abdominal binder recommended by a doctor to help hold his abdomen together, give him some support. He became an altar server and loved that, and he loved to spend time in the rectory of our parish, talking to, laughing with, and helping the priests, and learning all about the parish and asking questions and helping out with, and uh, so that's where his faith, continued to grow. Um, Kelly was born when he was 6, and again he was the big brother, and now had a sister and loved it. We had many great family getaways to the Jersey Shores, Sesame Place in Pennsylvania, Great Adventure, Disney World, and a 3-week trip we took by van out to Wyoming and to South Dakota. So we had some great times as a family with him. He attended and loved Bergen Catholic High School and was an avid Yankee, New York Giants, and Chicago Bulls Michael Jordan fan, and thus we were as well as a family. So he was being cared for by various doctors, got through his surgeries, got everything reconstructed, and he was living more or less the life of a teenager. Um, but his one kidney was degrading, and at 15 he needed a kidney transplant. I was a match, fortunately. The transplant was successful, also done at New York Cornell Medical Center. He had to be taken out of high school for some months, but his friends and teachers were very helpful. All he ever wanted to do was to have a normal kid's life, and he did, except he had to see lots of doctors and could not play contact sports. He, of course, had to take immunosuppressant drugs after the transplant, and that was right, to the end of his life. Um, uh, Overall, he had his health was good during the remaining time of his life. Little bumps in the road along the way, but in the grand scheme, he was doing very well, enjoying life. He taught CCD, ran the altar server program. He began attending Seton Hall University for teaching, but discovered he missed being home and shifted to a local college. He began thinking about being a priest and asked me to take him to Loyola University in Chicago to see the school and the minor seminary. We went, and he loved the school and seminary, and we had a wonderful weekend together in Chicago. Seeing all the sights, we went to the top of the Sears Tower. He pointed out Soldier Field and where Michael Jordan plays, and we just had a great time. I did not know at that time that it was God's gift to me. as a special final time with Patrick. 10 days, so we left there and he was sold on, yep, I'm going to transfer to Loyola and I'm going to, seek to enter the minor seminary. 10 days after we came home, he became ill, initially with what was believed to be a simple virus, but it became viral encephalitis, viral meningitis, and then viral encephalitis surrounding his brain. And he was soon in ICU, uh, left our house on a Sunday when he didn't know who my wife was. He didn't know who mom was. So we were told to call by the end of the weekend if he wasn't if his temperature wasn't getting better from the virus. But we knew we had to call 911 and bring him right in. So he was on ICU. He was on a respirator and lost all control of his body and had a very high fever. I mean, like 106. And he battled the next 5 months in rehab, had various surgeries to keep him to attend to issues that he had developed. So he had to go back to the medical center for that. And he could not talk, so we learned to communicate by the movement of his eyes. There were many ups and downs, and Marion and I were with him almost round the clock, while we also did our best to take care of Kelly and Dan. Our parish and friends and Kelly and Daniel's high school were incredibly supportive. During this time, besides my normal daily prayers, I was praying daily by Patrick's bedside to I had a bag of all my prayer cards to Saint Therese, of course said the Rosary, Saint Joseph, Saint Jude, and others. Every day, and a lot of times I would pray right there with him, and I believe he heard me, but he was oftentimes, just looking like he was, sleeping or just tired. Um, he had two emergency surgeries during the last weeks of his life when he was in New York Hospital after his blood pressure had plummeted. Um, and, uh, and each time they told us he may not make it out of the surgery. Um, the virus was taking over his body, and they were doing everything they could. They ran about 100 tests, the ICU doctor told us. They called in all kinds of specialists, everything they could think of. And this was obviously a very reputable medical center, and they could not figure out what the virus was, so they had him on a general antibiotic. So he had these two emergency surgeries, and he unfortunately he came out of both of them, but he was very, very, very sick, and he passed away on March 24th of 2006 due to sepsis with us all by his side. For the last 2 weeks, we pretty much, we lived there. Our pastor gave us great comfort at his bedside. As Marianne has said many times, the doctors and us could not overcome the pull of God who wanted Patrick in heaven. We're very aware that many children die almost instantly or have a short time period, and parents and family do not have any time with their loved one at the end of life on earth. And so we are very grateful to God that He gave us the time with Him, uh, although during that whole time He was suffering and we felt kind of powerless. It was in God's hands, and we could not believe the challenges he was going through. It was just, I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. This is where my faith began to be tested. In college, I did not fall away from my faith, as often happens to students, but instead my faith grew. Sunday Mass was standing room only, and Marianne and I would some days go to campus in a small chapel on campus at lunchtime, and all the priests were wonderful there. In this case, I began to question God, and still do to an extent, as to why Patrick had to go through all of the suffering he did in those last 5 months after all he had been through, and be taken so young when we need priests and he wanted to be a priest. If I ever get the chance, that's the one question I would ask if I ever make it to that point. Patrick was the life of our family. Kelly and Dan had lost their big brother, and he had lived in the same room as Dan, and he was always smiling and laughing and talking about sports and talking about what he was going to be doing with his friends. And um, one day I walked in from work and he said, "Hey, Dad," he was in the back of the house and he said, "Hey, Dad, um, have you heard about A-Rod's contract?" Edwin uh, Rodriguez from the New York Yankees. I said, "No, I haven't, but I'm sure you're going to give me all the details when I get back there." After he died and life had changed forever, we each tried to navigate the grieving process in our own ways and as a family. We heard about a camp called Comfort Zone Camp, CZC for short, a weekend grieving camp for kids up to 18 who lost loved ones. Each kid gets a big buddy to be with them the whole weekend and alternates between fun activities and healing circles where everyone understands you and what you are going through. There's no pressure to talk, but you can if you want, just the same as here. It's home based in Virginia, but now it has camps in many, many states. Fortunately, there have been camps from the beginning in New Jersey. We signed Kelly and Dan up for the camp. Kelly wanted to go, but Dan did not. He was adamant he didn't want to go, and we said, well, we think this would be really good for you. He finally went reluctantly. They had an introductory session for parents on Friday night, which was excellent. It was one of the first times I attended something where other parents also lost children and understood what I was going through. When we went to pick them up on Sunday, and after the closing ceremony with all the groups, and there were probably about 50 kids on the weekend, Dan was a different person, and both wanted to know when the next camp was. They continued to go to camps every 2 or 3 months, and then both graduated eventually to be big buddies after they turned 18. 20 years later, they both serve as big buddies at these camps, generally in New Jersey, but New York, Virginia, and it's just part of who they are. They love going. Everybody understands them. They have a lot of fun. They are able to talk with other people who um, understand what they're going through. So it's an example of where bad, something good has come from bad. We're grateful to God that Patrick is now in heaven, and um, we keep him very busy praying for us. I began going to several diocesan bereavement groups and on a monthly basis when I could and found them very helpful. I stopped that when I was traveling for work and when the pandemic came, and have since now joined this Emmaus midweek retreats. I would also go to diocesan annual bereavement messes. Over time, I am grateful I never lost my faith, but prayed about my feelings and thank God for letting us Patrick for 21 years and for all the love and fun he brought us and all the lessons I learned from him and learn every day. I say to myself that that God takes the best first. He was not a complainer and he lived life to the fullest every day. We initiated an annual Memorial Christian Service Award at his high school called the annual Patrick Nilsen Memorial Christian Service Award, um, both at his high school and his grammar school, St. Therese, at graduation for a graduating senior. Soon, we started this soon after his passing, and we continue to do it at Bergen Catholic, but unfortunately, the grammar school, St. Therese, as has happened too often these days, closed 6 years ago. At the high school, the head of the religious ed department has seniors write an essay about their church, school, and community service. With the assistance of the teacher, we select a winner, provide them a plaque of Patrick's likeness, a bookmark with his picture, and a short bio and a monetary award. I then try to keep in touch with the winners as to how they are doing and annually go to lunch with some. Bergen Catholic also has an annual memorial mass for all deceased alumni, and we go to that every November. At this point, there's about 1,000 alumni that they put all the pictures up, and it's a beautiful mass, and we see a lot of people we know, and then they have a reception afterwards. It's a, so we're able to, socialize and talk and share our experiences. We purchased a memorial stone for Patrick with his name on it at Bergen Catholic in the location other stones are located. For the first 5 years, we had a memorial celebration at the cemetery and then had a luncheon with friends and family to honor him. Then at 10 years, we did the same. As a family, we get together for his day of passing and birthday to celebrate him, usually by doing something he liked to do, like going to a movie. And then we go to have a pizza or dinner, what have you, to honor him. I go to the cemetery regularly. That's my thing. Most people, a lot of people just uh, don't do that. For me, it helps me. I look forward to it. I go, I plant flowers. His gravestone, we took us a while to design it. Um, so it has on it his favorite things: a Giant's helmet, a Yankee hat, a Bergen Catholic helmet, his Subaru, our dog Cody, and um, and the last thing escapes. Oh, no, the last thing escapes me. Um, so I go there and I talk to him. And I talk about his sports teams. We just, it's my way of feeling closer to him. I feel close to him every day, and I talk to him every day. And I reach out to him for prayers regularly and keep him very busy. Um, we erect a Christmas tree at his grave every Christmas, and then we decorate it with all of his favorite ornaments, and we have music playing, and we get together as a family. Overall, my faith journey has evolved. I am grateful for this Emmaus ministry and for all that Diane and the staff do for us. I still, struggle uh, um, with why God took him. Um, but I trust him, and I know he's in a better place, and I know um, he's without pain because he had tremendous pain and just had an incredible last 5 years of his journey. So I hope you could all, I hope this was helpful and that you can all take something from it. And I appreciate everybody who before has given a talk and allowed me to learn from it. That's all I have. Any questions?
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Norm. Let me just
Welcome.
change the view here. As I said, this is a new setup on Zoom. Um, hmm.
And earlier, when Diane and I were talking, I thought, geez, most people on these calls are, recent deaths or